Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bouk and Zoobie show on the world famous LIR.com, 927LAR.com, and YouTube. I am John Kalaboukas, the Bouk, with my friend Paul Zubulake. Zuby, very proud to be an American, Mr. Paul. Very, very proud. What a great game. Clearly, the Canadians were the better team skill wise, but nothing beats American guts. Nothing meet, and we beat them, and it was great to watch. Great to watch.
Yes, exactly. I felt like jumping into a little Star Spangled Banner. It was yeah, it was great from start to finish. The whining, John, out of Canada. I mean,
Oh,
what has happened to our friends in the North? And I know you have family up in Toronto, but I don't know if you've talked to them about this, but
they
what
won't
is
be
going?
calling. Yeah, they won't be calling.
What is I mean, it is really incredible where this big rivalry all of a sudden has happened between the two countries where for decades and decades, my whole life, I did a lot of business up in Canada and always got along with Canadians. I mean, it's not our fault their politics are a mess. I mean, they would probably say the same thing for us. But the absolute joke, right? These ex-players, current players on the team making excuses.
Yeah,
And it's like, guys, it's like this means that Georgetown, you know, beat is the champion over Villanova, right? That means the Russians won in 1980.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. It's a single elimination tournament, right? When you get to this point in the tournament, and it's a one game and you're out situation. And for these guys, and to pretend that goaltending isn't part of the game, I mean, really isn't. I mean, Nathan McKinnon. I mean, John, he plays for Colorado, and I mean, he's marked himself as a guy. He's a complete whiner, and
yeah,
he was the guy who just basically got pushed off the puck on that play, so Werenski could make the pass to use. So
yeah.
where was he making the big play that he needed to make? And he makes an excuse as opposed to just giving them credit.
Well, what about the coach, the Canadian coach, that he's complaining about the 3-on-3? Wait a minute. This was a rule that you knew about. Now all of a sudden you want to change the rule because you lost? It's unbelievable. Like you said, just a bunch of whiners and complainers. And I'm saying to myself, how about giving some credit? And
Right.
if you really look at the game, the fact that they want to call it a high stick, it was intentional, where it knocked out the front teeth of Hughes, and he only gets a 4-minute penalty.
Oh,
Oh
that's
my God! I mean, he should have been thrown out of the freaking game. That was intentional, and the fact that that kid came back. I was saying it to my wife. I said, I hope this kid scores the winning goal for this team after what they did to him with knocking his front teeth out like that.
and he actually took the penalty during the four
Yes,
on the when they had the 4 minutes, and it shortened it, and it gave the Canadians a power play at the
that's
end.
right.
So
That's
he
right.
could have almost been kind of the goat on that. Obviously just. I mean, in 3-on-3, it's a different game. There's no doubt about it, and that you could argue, I guess, that evened it out. I mean, if it was 5-on-5, would have Canada won? But let's face it, John. Hockey, you get the puck towards the net, it bounces off a leg. It's just one play, and that's what happens. It's not like if everyone likes to say they dominated the game. I mean, they dominated the second period. That's what they did. They dominated
Yeah.
that period,
Yes,
and
they did.
Hellebuck kept them in the game, and
Yes, he.
and that's part of the game.
Well, and you think
So
about the
yeah,
shots on goal by the United States, where one of them actually hit both goalposts. I mean,
yeah, that was a cry. You know what's so funny is that I
that was
wanted to
crazy.
see more of that replay because I almost thought it hit a guy's stick and then hit the post, but they didn't show that enough. And I don't know if you saw that, but because I thought again the telecast could have done a lot better job on a lot of these situations. And you got to slow it down and show us what happened because I don't remember getting a good look at that. There's no doubt it hit the crossbar. It looked like it went from one post to the other, but I don't think they definitively ever showed it. It was more like the guy's stick was up. It was the post or the stick. Anyway, not a big deal, but Right, like again,
Well, it took
that's
them a long time to show the winning goal too. How long did it take them to show that again? It
and
took
it's
them a
funny.
couple of minutes.
Yeah, it did take some time. And on that play, the big play was made in the zone by Hughes, right where he barely got the puck
That's
over
right.
to Werenski to start the play. I
Yeah,
mean, John, a game of inches, obviously. I mean, it was so close to that, for him to almost turn it over in his own zone, and he was able just to get it out, and that they made the rush, and then that was it. And give Werenski credit for battling and getting, like I said, McKinnon couldn't make the play, and he made the perfect pass. He
yeah,
made the perfect shot right between the legs. The goalie, I mean, let's face it. Hey, the goalie could have made the great save, right, John
yeah.
Binnington, and I mean, he played well. So it wasn't that one sided. Let's not get crazy here. I mean, there's no doubt that Canada, they did outplay them. But I actually watched Finland Canada, which was in the semis, which was like a Peacock only event. So I don't know if you saw it,
Yeah.
but that in that game, Finland was up 2-0. The Canadians tied it late 2-2 and then got a power play with less, like I think it was like 3 minutes to go in the game. Guess what? It was Mikko Mikkola, the defenseman, who's like 6'6". He got his stick up a little bit. McKinnon, of course, was the guy. He acted like he got shot on the play. His head went back, and he might have nicked them. And then they got a power play with 3 minutes to go in the game and scored and won the game. So no one complained that Canada won that game, and they came back from 2-0. You give the team credit. Oh, you guys came back great. And for them to this, and again, like I said, with him playing for a U.S. team, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm rooting for I'm rooting for him. It's like, dude, just give the other side credit.
Right,
What's wrong
right,
with giving them credit?
right. Just say that they played a great game and
Right?
that's it.
Yeah. It was.
They, now, you know, instead of having the aura of winners, let's see, lost the World Series, lost the women's
We'll get
gold
this,
medal,
of course. Another
and the
40.
men's gold. So they got three major losses as a country in the
Yeah.
span of what? Couple of months, 3 months?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah. I just think it's foolish. It's just it's embarrassing. Honestly, it really is
Yeah,
embarrassing. Um, it really is incredible that you would hear that from the guys on the team,
yeah,
as opposed, okay, the coach complained about the 3-on-3, which was weak as well, but he didn't like take a shot at the other team. So bad job by McKinnon, who's a tremendous player. The guy's a great player. McDavid's a great player.
yeah.
And McCarr, the defenseman's a great player. But the U.S. has some great players too. And I mean, again, it doesn't matter in a single elimination situation like that. It's whoever wins when if it's a sudden death situation or in regulation, and that's who's the winner of the game. It doesn't who's the better team, John. Big deal. What does that
Right.
mean?
The
You get
bottom line is who won the game.
exactly.
But I thought the funniest thing was when they were handing out the medals. So they hand out the medals. Then they're handing them like some uh, stuffed doll to
Right.
each one. They were looking at it like, what are you giving me here?
Oh my God, that was great. When they were
Uh,
giving that to the Canadian guys who were absolutely miserable, they'd given them a stuffed animal thing, and supposedly it's
what,
some sort of
what
collectible, John. So
collect? Oh, yeah, what, like the one
yeah, we can tell that story later. We'll save that story for later. That is a great story. Anyway, so the Olympics, I enjoyed it. Having it in the European time zone was great because a lot of you could watch some stuff during the day. Unlike what happened in Beijing, right? Nobody watched the Beijing Olympics when it's completely the opposite. But the other, having the gold medal game, John, at 8 in the morning. I know multiple people who did not watch the game
no? Oh,
and they
wow.
did not get up or they slept and they missed. And it's just like that is just really awful because every game was on at like 3:10. And I understand that they have to do it before the closing ceremonies and just schedule it the night before. I mean, just have it the night before, prime time, in Europe, and then in the afternoon in the States. I mean, have it in the morning. Come on,
I
that's
almost missed the game myself because I was at my computer and it was like 8:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, the gold medal game is on. And I
it's
ran to the TV. I almost missed it myself.
right, and you had to prepare to be ready, and it just they did lose a lot of people that would have watched, and I think because again, this was all a casual fan thing. A lot of people, it's great to get exposed to hockey and what a great sport it is. So that's always a good thing. So well, yeah,
But I
congrats to the guys. It really was good,
what
and the girls, John, because
and
I
the
watched
girls.
every game of the women's team. They were down 1-0 late. They didn't give up. They got the deflection on the goal. And then in the overtime, a defense woman, because I don't know why I mean, we should be able to call them, defense women because they're
Yeah.
women. I don't know why we have to call them men. It's so pretty funny they do that. I can't really even, I think Keller was her last name. She made this
Yes.
great move, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, she
was like
did.
a great move. And then I just thought she almost like kind of tapped it by, but she actually got some, she got a good shot on the backhand and beat the goalie there on that. Just a fantastic game winner for the women. So congrats to them. And the aftermath stuff, I don't even know if we want to go there. It's again, it's so embarrassing, with just it's really is just it's sad commentary, right, John? It really is.
It is. It is. And uh, what I thought was pretty funny were the amount of, they have these cameras all over the United States of people watching.
Right, the viewer.
People were drinking at bars at freaking 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that's
And
what happens. Yeah. You started, yeah, it's like St. Patty's Day. You start early, end early.
I couldn't
Yeah,
believe I was
well,
watching that.
John, there's nothing like hockey fans. It's a different breed, John. It's a different type of person. Like you said, a guy gets whacked in the mouth and loses his teeth, and he. I don't know if those are probably fake teeth anyway. Let's face it, hockey
No,
players.
no, no, they weren't. They
They
weren't because
weren't
no,
the
because
originals.
oh yeah, he has to get that replaced because if you see his smile, he half of one of his front teeth is gone. So you
Uh,
actually see it.
right, right. No, it could be like a cap already. He could have had
No,
that
no,
cap.
no, no. Those
He
were
said it
real
was.
teeth. Yeah, they were real teeth.
All
He
right.
was
Well,
bleeding badly. He was
yeah. No,
bleeding
he gutted
really
it out.
badly.
And he's had a rough year, Hughes, with the Devils. He had the infamous where they were out for some sort of dinner, right? And he cut his hand at the restaurant or something. I don't know if you know that. He missed a few weeks. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Jack likes to have a good time. Like he's supposedly dating some like Canadian pop star or something. My wife came up with those important tidbits throughout the Olympics. And then quickly, John, kudos to two things. The women's figure skater champion, right, Alyssa Liu, right, and her great performance and her crazy story, right, where she was on the Olympic, 13 years old and literally gave up the sport
Yeah.
and then came back. So I was just like, they're showing the family, the kids, and the father, and I'm like, where's the mom? They don't mention mom. Where's mom? So I don't, you know, this story with
No, no.
this is crazy story for people out there who don't know the story, is that the father, who was actually, from mainland China, left during the Tiananmen Square issue. So I'm not sure the history there with what happened with him and who he was over there. I really don't know that, so I don't want to make up a story. But he came to the States. He used surrogates, John, for
Oh,
all of his children.
oh boy.
5 children. I don't know if they were, I assume, different surrogates, and I'm not sure who donated on the other side or any of those details, but that's why they never talked about the mother,
Wow.
because the
Wow.
mothers don't, they exist, but they really don't. And he raised them all as a single father.
Wow. Wow. That is some story. I had no
And it's
idea.
amazing they didn't tell the story. Like, why not tell that story? Well, there's nothing to be. I mean, not everybody does that, of course, but I don't. There's nothing wrong with that story because it was just curious, and it's just like you look it up online, and it was out there. That's what it is. Because
Wow.
obviously you could tell she wasn't. She's obviously mixed race, so you didn't. You just like, and all the brothers and the sisters, they were all mixed, and it was just
Hmm.
really unbelievable that like that was the story and they didn't tell the story.
Yeah, yeah, because we have to be politically correct,
Well, he didn't do anything. What's wrong? Is something wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with having. It's unique.
Everyone's
It's
afraid to
unusual.
say anything. It's ridiculous.
Anyways, I wanted to call her out, and then the other part, John, where you know, I don't want to say choking because it's so unfair. Because what happened with couple of the figure skaters on the U.S. side, right? The man, the guy, the quad god, as they call him, right? Ilya Malini, whatever his name is. How he literally, John, like you don't believe how much pressure I guess the kid put on himself, where he just did not perform. They had him like winning the gold, and he was all ready to win, right? Because there's two different, like the short skate and the long skate, whatever the
Right.
differences are, whatever they call it. And I mean, it was like I thought it was like Dante Moore in the championship game. It was just like, oh my god, and the reaction, and then the other woman's skater who I can't remember her name, who messed up. Unfortunately, she kind of like made like a supposed to be a triple axle, and it was a double axle or whatever, and it cost her. She was like emotionally shot and so upset. I felt so bad for these athletes,
Yeah.
John. The pressure they're putting themselves under. There's like that's what was so great about Alyssa Liu is that she just had joy. It was just joy, and that's what the
Yeah.
hockey players should like. Just like the joy of
Yeah.
them. Obviously winning makes it easier, but these just you just feel bad that like these people, like these kids, they're young adults ultimately putting all this pressure on themselves. So I hope both of those skaters can come back in 4 years and just maybe they just need like kind of more of a mental coach, right? Than the actual skating part.
That's
It's
right.
completely mental. It wasn't anything beyond that. So anyway, I just
Well,
wanted to throw that out there.
one person that I don't think should get any sympathy at all is Lindsey Vonn, which
Oh,
let me tell you something. If you have a
crazy.
torn ACL, you're not skiing, you're not jumping, you're not doing anything. The fact that it was just so selfish on her part to say, okay, well, I have a torn ACL, but I'm going to continue. And then to just have the fall that she had. And now she's saying, yeah, they could have amputated the doctor saved my leg. Bringing so much, she's trying to bring so much attention to her for her stupidity,
Yeah.
breaking her leg like that in so many different places. I felt like saying, okay, you broke your leg because of stupidity. Shut up now. We don't need to hear that your leg got almost amputated and everything. That was pure stupid. And she will never ski again. So, I mean, I
Terrible.
don't know
Yeah.
what's wrong with that woman. What was she doing?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I get the yeah.
Especially. Listen, I'm not a ski expert, but I've watched skiing enough that when they had some crazy moguls on those whatever ski paths,
Right.
crazy stuff, and they were flying all over the place, and the fact that you have a torn ACL and you're going to try to make a cut. Forget it, man.
Well, she just was skiing straight downhill, which is
No,
just
I know that,
speed.
but still, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, when you have to make a cut, you skied a lot more than I have.
Right.
Should you have a torn ACL when you're
No.
going that speed?
No, of course not. She should
It's
have never,
ridiculous.
never, ever did what she did. Never. That was absolutely ridiculous. Then she claims that the cert, had nothing to do with her crashing. Of course it did.
Nonsense. Nonsense.
Nonsense. And she's lucky that she didn't lose her leg. But you're right. I mean, she's always been a bit of a drama queen. I mean, she's been around forever. She's like you
Yeah,
said,
that's
she
why
kind of
Tiger
likes the
got rid of her.
headlines.
That's why Tiger got rid of
Well,
her as a
yeah,
drama
okay.
queen.
Well, he's a bit of a drama king,
Well,
but
him too.
I'm
But
glad to see he's making a comeback again. But yeah, we're not going to get to golf today, even though I've been watching more golf lately. I don't know, maybe that's just I have no idea why, but it's been I don't know why I'm even bringing it up on the Bouk and Zoobie show. And we're back, right? And don't forget, again, we haven't been on for a few weeks. This is kind of our new schedule. We're gonna, probably do March Madness, right, John? That'll probably be our next show. Little March Madness preview. We'll talk a little college hoops today. So we will get to quickly the Super Bowl and my horrible prediction. So I have to own up for that. And kudos to you for getting it right in this year. And as always, we just want to thank everybody for checking out our content, youtube.com, spotify.com, the world famous LIR.com, 927LIR.com. I love and always being on their platform. Please like episodes, subscribe to the channels, because we have to conquer the YouTube algorithm, John. And YouTube does not like the fact that Bouk and Zoobie's not on all the time, so they kind of penalize us a little bit, but that's okay, right? We're hoping our dedicated watchers and listeners are enjoying the content. And we are a word of mouth show, right, John? So
Yeah.
tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
All right, where
So
you want to go, John? We'll make it jump ball. Where do you want to go? You want to get rid of the Super
let's
Bowl
talk
first?
yeah, we might as well
Yes,
talk about the NFL, and there is some Jets news today. And
yes, there is. Yeah, we are talking today on the 24th, so people know of February, which episode will drop in a couple of days. So, right, Aaron Glenn and Mr. Moogie, who is now Muji, I guess, spoke to the media today. So you want to go Jets first, or you want to just get the Super Bowl stuff out of the way, or what do you want
um,
to do?
but let's talk Super Bowl, and then we'll get to the Jets because it's a pretty interesting conversation, and I don't quite understand what their strategy is here. So let's talk quickly about the Super Bowl. So that was one of the most one-sided football. I think the last time I saw a one-sided game like that was the 49ers against the Chargers,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's been a long time where we saw a team just completely in every facet of the game dominate another team.
It was terrible. It was a terrible game. It was really just a bad game. I mean, credit to the Seahawks, of course, sir. I mean, to me, it was a great defensive performance, and I underestimated their D. I had the Patriots winning outright. I take the hit. And the one, John, I have one saving grace. At least I mentioned Kenneth Walker as a major key to the game. And I think I had it like 80 yards. If he gets 80 yards or above, Seattle's going to be in much better shape because they're not going to rely on Sam. And he had 80 yards in the first half, over 80, probably close to
Yep.
100, and he ends up being the MVP. So at least I got that right. And the other part is, John, I have to bring this up because I think if you're being honest, in that first half, Sam Darnold could have easily had two interceptions, maybe more.
Yes.
And it just shows how close it's like these little things in a game can change the whole game. Where the
Yep.
Pats on defense, they were there to make the picks, deflected, couldn't catch it. And Sam struggled. He played much better in the second half.
Yes.
But Kenneth Walker and the D, I mean, the defense was outstanding. I don't know what the Pats were doing. And, Josh McDaniel's a genius, allegedly. How many times did they use that cornerback blitz with Witherspoon? They couldn't block it. And then, of
Yep.
course, at left tackle, they didn't help out the rookie enough, and they just paid the price. So, just a bad game. And I'll give you credit. You called it. You liked Seattle to win. Sam, he didn't get the MVP. He didn't deserve it. But I do have a soft spot for old Sam. So, and I do not like the Pats. So in the end, I'll take the hit with a smile.
I'm glad that Sam won his first Super Bowl. I was happy for the guy, after what he's been through.
Yeah.
Very happy for him. By the way, speaking of, I mentioned the 49ers. I don't know if you've seen, it's an excellent documentary about the 49ers.
I haven't
Have you
seen it.
seen that?
No. What do you mean
Yeah.
about the heyday of the 49? You're talking about Bill Walsh
Yeah,
era?
yeah.
Okay.
Where when DeBartolo came in as owner, they brought in, they drafted Montana. It's a great, it's a four-part series. So I am going to recommend that to you and to our viewers and listeners. It's on A&E, I think it is.
Oh,
A&E
okay. Oh, I
had
didn't
it.
even know that. Okay. Well, there's just,
Yeah,
yeah, so many networks, so much content. And quickly, while we just, I have to throw out because it ties into the Olympic hockey. Netflix came out with the 1980s.
that's right.
Did you see it yet?
No, I'm going to look at it.
Outstanding,
Really?
outstanding. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's fantastic. It was really great. So definitely watch that. And we're old enough, right? We remember, we were at 16 years old at that time, so we remember. And you got a story from the Olympics,
I
or?
have a story
All right, here we go.
because it involved you and me. So Paul and I went to high school together and middle school for that matter. And but in high school we had the same biology teacher, but in separate classes. Her name was Mrs. Curland, if you remember her name.
Vaguely, vaguely. I
Okay.
remember the name. I can't
So
picture her though. Okay.
I was in the one or two class periods before Paul's class. So Mrs. Curlin was talking about the Lake Placid, the Olympics. And she asked, so has anyone gone to the Olympics? And, I always like to goof on her. And I said, yeah, I did. I said, it was a wonderful trip. It was fantastic. And so she says, oh, she was talking to me about it in front of the class. Two classes later, she brings it up in Mr. Zubulake's class. And she's saying, oh, did anyone go to the Olympics? And of course, no one went in Paul's class. And I think someone asked her, did someone else in the school go to? She goes, yes. And she who? John Kalaboukas. And Mr. Zubulake was just he told me the whole story that he was laughing so hard. He says, "What?" couldn't couldn't believe. And she knew right then and there that I duped her. But I
Oh, it's
remember the commotion that you made, and you told me about the commotion you made in the class.
oh
I
my
don't know if you
gosh.
remember that.
I do not remember that. I thought you were going to bring up like when we stole the answers to like one of the biology exams. That I don't know if you remember that story, but I don't know how we got it.
I,
Was like in a drawer somewhere, and this is like I think we were sophomore juniors or something, and we got the answers to the exam and we gave it out to like
oh,
everybody in the class. Oh my God.
I didn't have it. No, my
Yeah.
worst biology thing was they used to pair us up with the microscope. So Pat Santoro, believe it or not, you remember that name?
Of course.
What
Shout out.
he used to look at the microscope and draw whatever he saw. I never had a chance to look at it. So one time he drew something and I drew exactly what he put down on the paper. So the Curlin came over and says, "So what did you see?" I said, "This is what I saw." She goes, "You saw that?" I go, "Yeah." And Pat yells out at me, "You idiot!" He goes, "I crossed that out." He actually crossed it out, and I actually showed her a picture of something that was crossed out with pen. So that was very very embarrassing. I'll never
Well,
forget that. That was a total humiliation. She's like, "You saw that in the microscope?" Yeah, I did.
well, there you go. But I tell you, Mrs. Carlin getting a lot of shout outs on Bouk and Zoobie. So I'm sure the audience out there is enjoying the lack of morals we had as kids, cheating on exams, making up stuff. I guess we'll move on. We've matured later in life. We haven't
Well,
gotten any smarter, right, John? Because we root for all these bad teams, and we'll get to our pretty much favorite bad team. I don't want to say favorite because we know on this, everybody who watches us, we root for all the teams that never win. But it's probably my favorite team, I guess. And yeah, so I'll throw it right to you, and then I'll play off of that. So it was a bit of a mea culpa from Aaron Glenn today, where he basically waved the white flag on last season and took like all the blame and admitting that he did a bad job, and it's not going to happen again.
Yeah. Well, what else could he say after he fired almost every single coach that he hired? And now, what annoys me with Glenn and Muji, whatever he's called, is now they're going to start negotiating with Hall now when you have a March 3rd deadline. What you all of a sudden you decide, yeah, we really need him. Let's see if we can make a deal. And they're saying they're going to use either the transition or the franchise tag on him. And why did you wait until now to start negotiating with this guy? Why? You think you're going to squeeze the guy? He's in the driver's seat. You put a
John,
franchise tag on him, $14.5 million. They, if someone wants to sign him, they get a couple of draft choices.
well, yeah, let's explain that. Yeah, so
Yeah,
franchise tag, if somebody signed him, they get 2 number ones. In other
right,
words, if they franchise tag him this next week, he's obviously got a 1-year deal where he could hold out, but he probably won't because, like you said, it's 14 million. The transition tag, which is rarely used, you get a lower number. It's like 11 and maybe a little below 12.
11.7. Yeah,
Okay, is that
11.7.
11.7? And another team can sign him to an offer sheet. The
Right,
Jets can match it, but if
right,
they don't match it, the Jets get nothing.
right,
So that is one of those where the Jets are saying if they do that, if they give him the transition tag, they're making the statement that no one's going to sign him. No one's going to sign him to a deal that they can't match.
right,
So they're going to
right.
match it. We talked about this last few shows with Brees. You want him on the team if he's happy. You don't want to go into 2026 and him being all disgruntled about his situation,
Yeah,
especially if they transition tag him, where they're trying to like give him lists. And I just don't see what that really does for the team. And they should have moved him last year because if they weren't going to extend them, and which I believe they should extend them, but they're not going to be able, like you said, they're not going to be able to give him he's not going to give them a friendly deal. Like
no,
Dallas just signed Javonte Williams for 16 million guaranteed. That's it. And he had like how many 1,200 yards last year coming off
right,
injury, but still. And that's all he got was that amount of guaranteed. So if that's 16 million over 2 years, he's getting 14 over one. So if the Jets want to extend them, they're going to have to give him like at least 20 million guaranteed. They're going to have to because
right,
why would he sign an extension? But like, all right, I'll play for 1 year at 14 million, and then he can get tagged again, believe it or not. But it just you don't want a disgruntled guy on the team. This is a team they're going to lose a lot. So it's quite amazing. Like you heard the same sort of stuff. They want to be competitive. They talked about the free agency money. Free agency's fool's gold for the most part, right? You're going to get
yeah,
guys who are, coming off, they get cut because their contracts are huge. Very rarely you're going to get a young player who's you're going to help your team. It happens, but most of them get tag themselves or they get sign extensions. So I don't know what the Jets are doing because the other thing he mentioned, which I thought was interesting, this is Muji, is that when somebody asked him about Simpson, and it was a press conference, you couldn't hear the questions, and so you had to kind of figure out what the question was, but you only heard the answers. And he basically said that, oh, they're going to remain in contact, but they're going to let him go through the free agency process. This is John Simpson, starting guard, and then Vera Tucker, the other guard, who obviously missed the season. It sounds so, John. When they say that, they're gone. Very rarely do you let a guy get to free agency and you still sign him because you have the exclusive ability to negotiate with these guys right now. And
right.
if you can't come to an agreement, you're basically saying that we're not going to give you anything. So that really opens up the Jets to maybe even take a guard in the draft. That's another story. We'll save it for our draft show. But there was, that was like, it was just like a mixed bag of what the strategy is, like you said. You're turning over every stone to get a quarterback, trade. People now, Davis Mills, who backs up for Stroud in Houston, is now the hot name. Yeah, to be honest with you, if they can kind of get him for like a fourth round pick, that would be a great trade. I don't think Houston's interested in trading him. I'm not giving up a number one pick for him. So I don't know, maybe a number two. I don't even think I'd go there. And then like signing like a guy like Malik Willis, which again for the Jets and their situation, for them to go out and give a guy a bunch of guaranteed money without really a track record, just potential. I don't know how they could do that. So it just goes back to this, what are they going to do? A quarterback? Cousins, I think, is like he's talking with Minnesota supposedly now. It's not talking with them, but that's the word that he wants to go back. The Jets can't compete with that. I don't know where they're headed, John, at quarterback. We joked about Jimmy G. Kyler Murray's a non-starter. You're looking at Mariota and the combination of the rookies. And like I said, I'm on the record. Wait to the fourth pick, meaning the fourth of this a second rounder, the second rounder. Take the best quarterback who goes there, so there's not a lot of pressure on him. I still feel that way. We'll see how it plays out. And then the other part, they didn't really ask him too much, unless I missed it, about what they're going to do with two. But I mean, it's like almost a guarantee that they're going to take one of three guys, right? They're going to take Arvell Reese from Ohio State, the linebacker slash edge, David Bailey, he's a pass rusher from Texas Tech, or Ruben Bain, the DN from Miami, who had a great playoff, but is famous for his alleged short arms. He is not going to the combine, which is, I guess, starting tomorrow, I believe. So we're not going to know how short his arms are until, I guess, his pro day. The Jets are, of course, only the Jets, John, can have the second pick in a draft when there's no real clear-cut pick. So I'm looking forward to Alex's analysis when we bring him back.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards Reese. Keep him at linebacker. They need a big physical linebacker. They need help on defense. But again, John, we've said it once, we said it 1,000 times. This is year 2 of a 3 to 5 year rebuild.
Yeah.
The way I'm looking at this right now, it's lining up to me that at this time next year, we are talking about Sean McDermott as the new head coach of the Jets with 3 first round picks and maybe a new GM, maybe not. Because Glenn is going to need a miracle, John, to save his job.
And the fact that he was placing blame on himself. I mean, we were placing blame on him throughout the entire year. We saw what a mess. I mean, even from his coaching choices. Now you have a whole new staff. I mean, this is going to be another mess, Paul.
New system.
This is on it. It's going to be a mess again. They're going to have to revamp it again.
Yeah, and he's definitely calling the plays on defense. He's doing what McDonald did for the Patriots, for the Seahawks. Mike McDonald, right, defensive head coach, took over the job and called the defensive play since he's been there. And now he got a Super Bowl. So Aaron Glenn is going to go down at least, right, with his own defense. I mean, I'm hoping he does well. I'm not going to sit here
and root
against the guy, but you got to look at the roster and this team. And you know what, John, and the over-unders are out, by the way. They did release them since we last spoke. What do you think the Jets over-under is? If you had to throw a number out, what would you give? It's hard. We don't know who the quarterback is, but they did put out a number.
4.
5.5.
5.5.
Exactly what it was last year.
Okay.
They won 3 games. Hey, John, I'm hoping everybody's saying it's going to be under, so maybe they go over. The problem is, John, going 6-11, going 7-10, that just gets you into the mediocre category. And then your draft pick is going to be lower in the first round. They've got Indianapolis. They've got Dallas's pick. That's a fantastic situation. But I mean, the Jets. John. I know, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was just laughing when I was saying it. Tank Aruski again, just like the 76ers did it. The 76ers didn't tank one season, right, John? They tanked multiple seasons.
Yes,
Now,
they
it
did.
didn't lead to a championship, um, but the point is, if you're really realistic, and what is the hope for this franchise, is the only way they're going to get anywhere is if they finally draft a quarterback and it works out, right? And the higher pick you have, John, the better you're going to be. And if you get the number one pick, you control the whole draft. And there's what if the Jets win 6 or 7 games and pick ninth, 10th, or 11th, we're going to be pulling our hair out where, we could trade up. Not if the teams in front of us need a quarterback. So unless 5 or 6 of these guys really come through, because again, the list of quarterbacks potentially coming into next year's draft looks tremendous on paper. We'll find out, obviously. That's why they play the games, because this is what happened this year, and we ended up with Mendoza, only one.
Yeah,
So we don't know how it's going to play out. So it just, I hate to say it, but what is mediocre? Who wants to be mediocre? What is that going to do for this team? Like it's going to build the culture if they win 6 or 7 games, or they just are bad again, and then Glenn gets washed out, and they start anew. And I'm bringing McDermott up because he's the most logical guy,
right.
experienced he obviously would love to stick it to Buffalo. Correct? It makes sense. I don't think he's done coaching.
We need an experienced coach. I've said this
Right,
many
right.
times. We got to stop taking these beginners. We have to stop. Oh, this is the hot, we need to get him. He did so well as a defensive coordinator. Why do you keep doing this over and over and over again? Get us you saw how many great coaches were available this year. I mean, listen, Tomlin could be available too.
Tomlin's the other guy. Tomlin is possible. I think he may be done, but what do I know? I know McDermott probably wants to coach again, and
Yeah, he does.
the reason I bring McDermott up is because um, he has something to he wants to stick at the Buffalo, the owner, not the
Yeah,
city or the fans or the
yeah,
players. He wants to stick it to the owner. He's the perfect guy. And everyone's, of course, complain about him too. But it's like, come on, folks. Like you said, we need just a solid coach. We don't know who the next Sean McVay is going to be. It's, you don't know. So it's it just seems to me to be what we're going to be talking about again next year, because I just don't see it. How can this team win games with no quarterback? And it's like they have holes everywhere. So it's just it's I can't, I guess I shouldn't say I can't wait. I can wait, but I do believe that, I mean, what is the reason to want to pick sixth, seventh, or eighth next year? I mean, and I'm going to be sitting there happy. Hey, if they go out and win 10 games, that's completely different. But
right,
winning
right.
6 or 7, where does that put you?
Yeah,
And also, one last thing quickly. Glenn was praising Woody Johnson a lot in this conference. So that was
right.
another piece where I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah, yeah, because, well, for obvious reasons why
Yes.
he's
Woody
praising
does
him.
not tell me what to do with things on the field, but he's supportive. So he was very supportive of Captain Chaos. Captain Chaos loves that because Captain Chaos does not like hearing from people like us who call him Captain Chaos, but that's what he is. We're probably never, ever going to get anywhere with him as the owner, but I mean, they have done okay with him in the past. So I just see that as the inevitability, folks. I'm sorry to say, but to me, sitting here, if you could sign for it, John, number one pick next year and a new coach like Sean McDermott or Mike Tomlin, would you sign for that today and suffer
Well,
through another season? Would you do it or no?
100%, 100%.
100%, right? Because who cares about winning 6 or 7 games? Who cares? All right, enough. We didn't talk about much about the Giants lately. Because I guess we just don't want, because they obviously got a proven coach. They
The
still got Joe
Giant,
Shane though. I don't know what's going on there, but that's another story.
yeah, but let me tell you something. The Giants, as I said to Lieutenant Dan, I was more optimistic about the Giants than the Jets, and I'm even more optimistic for the Giants now that they actually have a great head coach
And they
who's
got a quarterback, young
and a
quarterback,
quarterback.
hopefully, and
They, they,
hopefully Scadaboo and Malik
they're gonna
Neighbors
do
come back
well.
healthy.
What's the over under for the Giants this year?
You know something, I want to say 7.5. I want to say 7.5. If I had it, I think, don't quote me on that. I
I was
think
gonna
that's what
say
it
they're
was.
good for eight. I think they're good for 8 wins this year.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, that's what's so great about the NFL. Obviously, nobody's made a draft pick. Nobody has signed a free agent. Maybe, I don't know, the Jets are going to go out there and do what New England did and sign like 6 or 7 guys as free agents, and they all work out, draft a bunch of guys that all work out. I mean, they did kind of do it. Now they have the quarterback and they have a great coach. Not great, good coach in Variable, right? So, I mean, anything's possible. I would love to be talking about that next year. You think, we want to sit through another
Ugh.
disastrous season? But I'm telling you, John, if you would sign for it and both of us agree, number one pick and a new coach, I'll live another season. We've been freaking watching this team for 55 years. So what the heck is another year? I mean, and my friend goes, "Well, we've been rebuilding forever." I like, that's the point. It's been forever anyway. So what the heck is another season? Right?
Yeah.
All right.
What what
Anyway,
what,
yes,
what what's another couple of years when you've been waiting around for 50,
John,
55 years?
I'm just being honest about it, because
Yeah.
what are the scenarios? Win 5, 6, or 7 games? Like, who? What does that do? Nothing. Zippo. What does it do?
It doesn't do anything.
If you win 9, 10, or 11 games, all right, shock the crap out of me. I'll be, again, the happiest guy in the world. You think I might want to sit through another disastrous season? But if I'm looking at the reality of my head coach, my current head coach, and my current roster, we've got 8 premium picks in the next 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and we can build a winner. It is possible. It's right there for the taking, but you got to be in the right position to pick the right players and the quarterback. Now, the Jets pick seventh next year, and there's 6 or 7 quarterbacks who have great seasons. Then I'm not going to be going wacky about it. But if it's the same stuff that happened this year, where we end up with 1 or 2, guess what? You better be in the top 2 again. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're not going to get these guys
Yeah.
because no one's going to trade. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen. So anyway, enough for that. That's my thoughts. In February, 7 months until the season. So we'll see how, again, like I said, the next 2, we'll definitely do March Madness. We're going to shift over to that new sports, because there's tons to talk about, John, and we
Yep.
don't want to be on forever tonight. So you want to hockey, we're not even going to talk about. The season restarts this week. Obviously, the Islanders will be in it. The Rangers' season's over, going for the number one pick. Speaking of tanking, that's what they need to do, by the way, and get a top player. So let's talk hoops. I'll let you go. Either one. You want to take the college, or you want to go to your beloved Knicks and their inability to seems like, can they compete with the Pistons? Anyway, where do you want to go, John?
Let's go with college first, since
Okay.
we were both at a game, um, the St. John's, Connecticut game, which was a
Great game. Oh,
great atmosphere, sold out, loud crowd. Uh, it was actually a very entertaining game
yes.
for Connecticut and for St. John's. And there's actually a rematch tomorrow night in Connecticut. I if you would have told me a couple of weeks ago after St. John's won that would they beat Connecticut, UConn in Connecticut, I think they're going to beat them. And I know I texted you. They played um, against Creighton, even though Creighton ended up beating UConn a couple of days before.
That is true. That is true. Yep.
St. John's would have shut down any team in the country the way they played defense that night, because it was the first time this year. When I use the word suffocated, they absolutely did not even give them an inch. When I say an inch, they were on top of these players. And Creighton has some good shooters on that team. And if they can play defense like that, they can go a very, very long way in the tournament, in the overall tournament. I mean, they're ranked number 15 right now, and UConn is 5. If they beat them tomorrow,
Yeah,
you might see them in the top 10
they
as
should
far
be.
as
They
I'm
definitely
concerned.
they'll be ahead of UConn if they beat them. So
They should,
hey, they're playing good,
but
John.
they
Both
played
those teams.
well.
Yep.
Dylan Darling, he
Stepping
finally
up.
woke up as our point guard. He's been playing tough defense. He's finally shooting the three. He's making some easy jump shots, but he's brought a toughness to the team. And I'm glad, because as you remember, in the beginning of the year, I was down on them saying, you know what, they don't have the toughness, they don't have the grit. And just Patino's been on their tails, and they have a 13-game winning streak.
No, yeah, now they're playing great, John. They're playing great. That we should mention that ridiculous situation in the Providence game where, and I mean, Kim English. Not that we're going to waste much time on Kim English. He's who's going to lose his job at Providence. You let your guy do, one of your players does that. Okay, I know you're not telling him to do it, but after the fact, can you kind of give? I mean, the kid's smiling, he's
Yeah.
getting the crowd all riled up. Why isn't he putting him in his place? That was a completely dirty play. Come
He,
on.
he, what are you talking about? He was praised. If you saw him in the huddle, he was actually, patting him on the back. The kid was a thug.
Right.
He's a thug. What was that all about? And it's funny you brought up the Providence game, because my wife was watching that game with me. She's been watching a lot of St. John's games with me. It's pretty good this year. And I said, now we're going to kick their butt. They woke us up. Now we're going to beat on them. They because St. John's was just meandering. They
Yeah,
weren't.
they were sleepwalking it.
They were sleeping in that game. Once he did that, they just ran him out of Providence.
Well, the other thing is the kid, I can't remember his name. The guy got thrown out too, though, like because he kind of like I don't know what he was
He
doing,
pushed.
running into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pile. Yeah,
yeah. I forgot his name.
yeah,
Yeah,
I can't.
I forgot his name, but he's a good player.
Yeah, that one. So so that. But just the point is that I mean, what is going on? I mean, that is it's just BS. It's Bush League. It's Bush League to do something like that.
It
Give a
was.
hard foul. There's nothing wrong with giving a hard foul. You don't try to take the guy's head off and then act like you said, a complete thug and encouraging. And he should have been thrown out immediately. The coach should have told him, keep going, bro. I mean,
You think
it's an awful job, but he's going
you
to get
you
fired. I guess that's,
you
I
think
don't
the
know.
Friars at Providence, that they're walking around campus, they didn't see that going on? Are you kidding me?
Uh, anyway, yeah. So, so you're right. I mean, I look at the big picture. The Big East is just way down this year, right? So it's hard to gauge now because St. John's and Connecticut are both good teams, right? But are they in the top echelon, right? They're right to me, they're a little outside of that top echelon, a little bit. I'm not saying they can't do well and get to the Final Four. I'm not saying that at all. It's definitely possible. But I think if I had to like mark my favorites, I would probably keep both of them a little bit on the outside, just because I just think the whole conference is just down this year, especially with Marquette just not, I mean, being a really not a good team this year. And
No.
that was always one that was always reliable. Creighton has struggled, let's face it. So we'll see. I mean, it doesn't matter once you get into the big dance. Seeding is
Villanova is a
important.
surprise.
Right, but they're not that good though, right? I mean, they're surprised that they're as good as they are, but
Yeah.
I mean, the conference is down, John. But that doesn't mean that those teams can't get to a Final Four. So I told you to watch the Duke Michigan game. That was like a slugfest. It was ugly. So I could see
I
what you were
wasn't
saying.
impressed. Yeah, I wasn't
Right,
impressed
but
with them.
those teams defensively are top teams, so but they definitely look beatable. And then you've got like the Big 12 schools, right, with Houston, who's now lost 3 in a row, Kansas, Arizona, and Texas Tech, unfortunately, lost Toppin, um, their top player, and then also BYU lost Richie Saunders, one of their top guys, so that hurt them. Little Big 12 update. I would say that Arizona is probably the best team out of them. And then you've got your Big Ten teams, obviously, with Michigan and Illinois, who lost to UCLA, so that might have taken them down a peg. So these Big East teams, despite the conference overall weakness, that doesn't mean these two teams can't be Final Four teams. How about both of them, John? How about that happening? That could happen.
I I have to be honest. I don't see UConn going anywhere near the Final Four.
No.
No, I
Okay.
don't think they're that good.
Okay.
I really
Yeah.
don't think they're that good. I've seen them barely get by so many different teams, that they should have pummeled. And that's why I was sure that St. John's was going to beat them at Madison Square Garden. I knew that they were going to beat them. I said, you know what? They just barely got by Seton Hall, and I think it was Villanova was the other game they barely got by. So I'm not that impressed with UConn. Watch what happens. They beat us tomorrow night. I mean,
Well, this is perfect timing. This is good, though, John. You do it before the game, and then if we don't have a show for a few weeks, we'll bring it back up.
then I
So,
have to eat crow.
do you want to tell the story about the after the St. John's UConn game? Should we tell that story
Uh,
because this is actually a very funny story, folks? Do you want to tell it? Or do you want me to tell
I'll let you tell it because
it? All
I let you talk me into not taking this.
right. So we're sitting at the game. And at the end of the game, they're making these announcements that Chase Bank is giving some giveaway at the end of the game. And it seemed like, what is this? It's like a poster and some sort of card, right? And I'm like, what is this? That's the best they could do. So not apparently, what happened was when we were leaving the arena, they were giving this thing, this card, right? And it wasn't a poster, a small poster,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like it was kind of crazy because folks, John and I have gone to a lot of events at the Garden. I don't know what has happened to the Garden security, but it's a mess getting into these games. I don't know what the heck has happened. They had us going in a different entrance. Entrance. They had us right in that small room with these bunch of maniacs, with one guy taking the tickets,
Yeah.
one old man taking the
Through
tickets
one door and one
through
door.
one door. So I thought I was at like at the freaking Who concert almost. We finally get it. This is going into the game. So leaving the game, you got to stop by, and it was kind of like, it was some commotion around it. And I'm like, John, I'm not grabbing this stuff, right? So I did not talk you out of it, but we had no idea it was this thing called anime, right? So we're walking out of the Garden, and as people who've been there, it takes it's a few more 100 feet once you get out, kind of like we'll call it, into the corridor of the street almost, right? And we're walking out, and looks like it's almost like a riot is
Yeah.
happening
Yeah. Yeah.
where people are running, and there was this young kid running through the crowd, and the police and the security were chasing him down and grabbing him, and some other person tried to get involved, and it was mayhem. And we had no idea what was going on. And it turns out that these anime cards, which when I got home, my sons told me, he's like, "Oh yeah, that show is actually really popular." And I told him what the name of the series was. I guess they have. He's like, "Oh, that's like their most popular series." There were kids, resellers, who were giving $100 bills. Well, a couple of $100, a couple of our friends got, because we went with a bunch of people, but they were sitting different than us, and people sold these cards to these resellers for like $100 or $200 right there. So I get into Penn Station. I ask some guy, and he's like, "Yeah, these cards go for like $600 on eBay." And I'm like, "What?" So John and I, folks, walked by, did not grab our free cards, by the way, and our friends ended up trading them for money immediately. John, I went home the next day. The cards were down to $400 on eBay. So when they flooded the market, the prices went down. So the lesson is, when you're getting something free at a sporting event, just take it.
Yeah, yeah, just actually, one of our guest hosts, Gamal, actually ended up getting $200 for his card.
Immediate return, folks. 200
Immediate
bucks for
return.
nothing, even though you
Paid
could
for his ticket, his dinner, his train ticket, and he was able to take his family out for dinner
have.
in about 5 seconds. In about 5 seconds.
Yeah, folks, it was a riot. I couldn't believe it. And I guess we could have walked back in and grabbed them. I guess once we realized what was, I don't even, I mean, not that John and I are like
No, no, because then
moguls.
they would have said that you already have it if you
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, I look at it, John, as we made a donation to some other person who got the card and they're able to resell it. So we made a little donation to somebody we don't know. We missed out on the free money. That was a crazy experience. Like John said, the crowd was great. But yeah, the Garden, John, they got to get their act together, man. What is going
that was
on?
very poor security. That was
I mean,
very
what,
poor.
like they've never dealt with a sold out event before? I mean, that was absurd what was going
No,
on.
but leaving was a hazard because we couldn't even get through these nerds that were trying to pay us off. It was ridiculous, right? We actually had to bull our way through that crowd.
It was crazy. It was a crazy night. So anyway, so that's our Garden story. All right. So speaking of the Garden, John, we got to hurry because we don't want to get to MLB too. Um, Knicks, what do you? I just want to hear your opinion. What do you think?
You know, the Alvarado move, as you know, I was very much in favor of that. He's played tremendous. He's a great defensive guy, great pickup. I don't know much about this kid. I forgot his name now.
It was
We got
Sohan.
Yeah, Sohan.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
I don't think it's going to
you
help.
know, they're trying to say he's another Dennis Rodman, and I'm like, yeah, what with the colored hair? That doesn't matter to me. Um,
He's hardly played him though, right? Is he played him?
he's hardly played, but
Yeah,
Alvarado has made a difference. The thing is, it's when the Knicks decide that they want to play defense. It, I think it'll be totally different in the playoffs. I'm not so much worried so much that the Pistons have been beaten up on them. I just don't think that it's almost like they're trying to glide their way into the playoffs, and then they'll take everything seriously.
yeah.
Uh, and the thing is, again, Carl Anthony Towns, he has these great games, and then he disappears. And why does he disappear? I don't know. I just think that they have to play defense in order to get to the championship, to get a championship. Because you know what? It is actually doable this year. It just doesn't seem like there's a clear cut team. I mean, we thought Oklahoma City was going to be, 81-1, and they've come back to earth. Now the Spurs are unstoppable, which they've been playing really, really well. I mean, they're a good team, but there's not really one team that I would say I'm afraid that we're going to lose to. I think there's just so many teams on the same level that they're just going to knock each other off. Like tonight, they're playing the Cavaliers. Okay. Cavaliers, they added Harden. Okay. They won, what, 7 in a row? But then they lost to Oklahoma City pretty badly, where they didn't have any of their main players playing in the game, Oklahoma City. So they handled them pretty easily. So I just think it all comes down to defense. They could score, but I just don't tell me that Mikal Bridges is this defensive wizard, because I've seen him lit up so many times this year. I mean, Kevin Durant ate him up. Cade Cunningham ate him up. I mean, even when they put Anunoby, Anunoby's supposed to be a good defense. Some games, it's like he's
Yeah.
invisible.
John, it's the NBA. The season's just so long. It's so obvious, right? They got a huge problem with guys sitting out, and
Yeah,
it's John. It's a playoff only sport. I get what you're saying, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because you got a great feel for him. You watch him all the time. I just, I was watching that Pistons game, and it was like, guys, they're running you out of the building stuff. And then at the end of the game, I see Mike Brown yucking it up with the Pistons coach. And
yeah,
I'm like, Mike, I'm not saying you're supposed to not give him a nod or something, but yuck it up in the tunnel or something. Not on the court after you just got your butt beat. I don't know, man. I don't like that vibe.
I don't like. Again, I'm trying to give Mike Brown as much time as possible here,
You have no
but
choice.
but if you look at the way they've constructed the team and they've added all these extra players to the bench, Thibodeau would have been they would have had a better record. I'm sorry. I think Thibodeau's much better coach than he is.
He's
At
got
least
more intensity. He's got more intensity. Brown is a
yeah,
more of a laid back type of
right.
guy. He is what he is. I'm not criticizing the guy, but I'm criticizing because he's yucking it up with the other coach after getting his butt kicked.
Yeah,
If you lose by a point or five, close game, okay, maybe you'd yuck it a little bit. You got blown out. You should be freaking furious,
yeah,
not happy.
yeah.
So that's not a New York attitude. I'm sorry. So
No,
that's
no.
what I feared about hiring him. But we'll see. But I'm glad to think that, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, because it's just the second season. It's once you're in the playoffs. I mean, it's okay. Home advantage. It could be important. I don't know. Because I looked at it today. Right now, I mean, the Magic and the Sixers are tied basically. It's like a half game difference, and that would be the first round opponent, right? One of those two teams
The two
for the Knicks.
and two teams that you don't really want to face in the first round,
Right. You don't want to face.
especially if Embiid is
Well, that's
healthy.
yes.
And,
And
and then you
George
have
is
Bankero with Orlando and the
yeah.
Wagners.
Yeah.
Those are two teams that you really do not want to face in the first round, because
Right. That's what
literally the Knicks could get eliminated in the first round.
right. You do not want to play the Sixers if Embiid's playing. Let's face it, and George is going to be back too, because let's face it,
Yep,
George has
yep,
been he got suspended. So they're struggling without those guys. But it's still too early to determine that.
yes, yes.
But we talk about this every year, but it doesn't change as much as you think. Like the Knicks always seem to be in this third spot the last few years,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like they can't advance. So quickly before we get to MLB, you mentioned Alvarado and his defense. At the end of the game in the playoffs, is Alvarado on the court?
It depends on who you're facing.
Okay. So you think it's possible that he's on the court?
Yeah, I like when he's on the court. He's a smaller Josh Hart
Right.
at the guard
But that's the
position.
thing. That's why I'm asking you, because Alvarado, Brunson, and Hart on the court at the same time, that means Anunoby and Towns. That means Bridges is the odd guy out in that scenario, right?
Fine,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Bridges is not winning you a championship.
okay. Well,
He's
John,
not.
the
He's been
Knicks.
very disappointing. You give up 5 first-round picks for someone like him, okay? And they're saying, oh, and I never knew him as a defensive specialist. They're saying, oh, he's great defensive. He has not shown that at all. In
Well, he's
spurts.
definitely not physical. There's no doubt about that.
No.
So, all right. Well, the Knicks, the tri-state area's only hope, because again, we just want to talk about championships. That's all we care about. So this will be a good move to MLB, which incredibly during the snow situation that we're dealing with in the tri-state, I don't even, and I've never been so happy to only get 15 inches of snow after my friend John told me he got over 20. So, I mean, I can't imagine being
25.
happy. 25. Imagine
25.
being happy with 15 when you hear that. So, baseball is actually started in spring training. There are games going on now. The Olympics has taken everything off. Like nobody's talking. I haven't. It's hard to believe that they're actually playing. So, John, is the starting right fielder for the Mets the rookie? Is that that's my first question for you with baseball with Bouk, of course.
Uh, it looks like they're trying to go that way, but now you have these guys like Tachman that they just signed to a minor league contract. This guy Melendez, who's not bad from the Royals. I mean, Stearns is doing that stuff again. He's just signing players and see if they stick.
Right.
Uh, so you hope that Carson Benj is your right. I would like to see him play right field. If not, what are they going to put Beatty out there? I mean, I want to know what are they going to do with Beatty? What are they going to do with Vientos? I just keep thinking about this Simeon trade that was not necessary at all. And
Right.
there's a great article in the Athletic where they interviewed uh, Nimmo, and Nimmo was being told by Stearns, yeah, when we really don't want to trade you, there's some teams are inquiring about you. It's basically that they lied because he said in the article that they basically had the deal done, and they said, you know, in so many words, you're holding it up if you don't approve it. So, and he says they told me the whole time they were not trying to trade me or anything. They were trying to trade
Right.
him, and I just don't like the way that was handled. And to say that Simeon is going to improve our team, you could have, again, Bichette could have gone to second base, leave Beatty at third, Vientos, Alonso at first, Vientos as your DH. You have a Diaz as your closer. That's a World Series team that you could get into the World Series.
If they
Okay,
just added Bichette, right? And
that's
and
it.
uh, and it gave Diaz some help, obviously, with
Right.
Williams. And then the guy
And if
kid
you want to,
Weaver.
and if you wanted to trade to get Robert, that wasn't a
Okay.
bad move. But to basically almost lie to Nimmo that you weren't looking to trade him when, yeah, the Texas Rangers just came out of the blue and said we want him, and then you go to him and say, oh, by the way, this will be for the good of the team. They were basically saying, here's your way out, but you're blocking us from making this trade. I mean, it was absurd. That, and then the other thing that came out is Darryl Strawberry. I don't know if you read this.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know why
He
he did
went
that.
where he was saying, "Why did Pete? Why did you leave the Mets?" He's trying to equate what he did with leaving for the Dodgers himself. What in 1990 that
Yeah.
happened? Listen, if the Mets are not offering you any
Right.
years or anything like
Right.
that, what did you expect the man to do? To wait
Yeah.
around for the Mets?
He right. Yeah,
He
that was
had
I
to
don't know.
go. He had to take that offer. He's securing the future for his family.
I mean, it's
So
well, he wants to be wanted as well. I mean, I don't know where Darrow was coming up with that. I mean, it's so obvious what happened. They didn't like the locker room. They didn't like the locker room, and they thought they couldn't win with this locker room, so they broke it up. And that's what
and
they've
now and
done.
now and now you have Steve Cohen. There'll never be a captain as long as I'm an owner.
Where does that come from, too? It's like, what, because you're the captain? What the heck does that mean? I mean,
Well,
it,
I think he was saying that because of the division in the locker room. When they were talking about Lindor possibly being the captain, some wanted Alonso, some wanted Nimmo. It's
okay. So, but all right. So, I mean, I
it's
don't
amazing
honestly.
that Lindor. It's amazing that Lindor has survived all of this because it seems like he's the problem more than anything else.
I mean, yeah. Well, in the locker room, we don't know. I mean, Lindor was obviously involved with the McNeil stuff, so we know that. But the thing is, who was the last Mets captain? I have no idea.
David Wright.
It was David Wright.
Yeah,
Okay, he was the last one, and
that's
obviously
it.
Hernandez was the captain of the World
Yeah,
Series team.
he was captain, and then when Carter came, they were co-captains.
Okay, so I don't think this stuff is a big deal, but it does show that there's a vacuum in leadership on the team. So uh, you need leadership, right? You want everybody to be on the same page. And we talked about this. Last year's team, it was obvious they were not on, and that's why they were front runners and could never come from behind. So I get, trying to change the locker room, but the way they did it and took out their most popular players at the same time. Again, John, we've talked about this as many times. To me, the Mets have to win this year. I don't mean World Series, but they have to be super competitive. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a nightmare for Steve
It's
Cohen.
going to
I'm
be
telling you.
ugly. It will be ugly.
Right. So
I'm
that's what they're looking at. And, games in April are going to matter for this team. And it's going to matter, John.
well,
So, all right.
when you have these baseball writers and they're kind of harping on the team chemistry, and they're writing articles about Sean Manaea starting a chess club and teaching the younger guys how to play chess. I was like, you're really reaching for straws here right now. If you're talking about Sean Manaea teaching guys chess in the locker room or something. Like, what does that have to do with baseball?
Well, what they're trying to develop a camaraderie. So it just, again, more proof that they just kind of had a disjointed locker room, and they're trying to change it, but just throwing a bunch of guys in from different teams into one pile. We'll see. We'll just see what happens. So, has any of the? I guess how many games have they technically played? It's like 2 or 3. It's that little, right?
Yeah,
They have.
it's about. I think they played the Astros today, so I think it's like 3 or 4.
All right. So right now, who is your starting five? The starting rotation.
Well, obviously it's McLean, Peterson, Manaea, um, uh,
Peralta
Peralta. I would say Senga.
and Senga. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a
As
bad.
and
It's not a bad staff. If we're talking about if now. If everyone's healthy and everyone pitches the way they're supposed to, it's a
and then
very good
Holmes.
staff.
Home. You forgot Holmes. So
I
Holmes.
want Holmes in the bullpen.
But that's
Let,
important. But they haven't done anything about that,
no, I
correct?
know.
So it's
Holmes
still the
is
same. Okay.
Holmes is probably going to be the sixth starter if they go
They're
2 or
going to
3
have
together.
600 starters, as we know.
Yeah.
We love the Mets. I know, John. We're going really long, so I don't know if we want to keep going. And I'll give you one last chance on baseball if you got anything that want to pop out. Our next show will definitely, I don't know. Maybe we'll put a baseball only show out there, John. We'll see. We'll definitely do a March Madness. So I'll give you one last chance before we say goodnight.
Yeah, no, other than that, I mean, it's spring training. I mean, a lot of minor signings. I mean, I can't believe Michael Conforto was still in Major League Baseball. The Cubs signed him
There you
today
go.
to a minor league contract.
Yeah,
To a
yeah.
minor league contract.
That's the way it goes
You
sometimes.
you talk about someone who should have accepted the Mets offer and just injured his shoulder, and from that just went right downhill.
How old is he, do you think? Do you have any idea how
Reporter
old he is?
was, what is he, 32 or 33 years
He's
old
that
now?
old. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny. They come and they go, John. We'll talk a little Yankees next time. We'll throw them in. So we'll definitely do obviously a lot of baseball before the season starts and throughout. Maybe we'll jump on a little more than usual once we dig out from the snow. So as always, John, who do you got to thank?
Thanks to our producer, Zach Zubalake, to our loyal listeners and viewers. Again, we love the feedback. Keep it coming. Also, thanks to our community partners, Ronald McDonald House, Kids in Seats, and the Jackie Robinson Foundation. See you soon.